The Antigonish County Adult Learning Association is a friendly place to learn. Our professional staff can help you upgrade your education, develop specific skills, learn English as a second language, or simply achieve your grade 12 equivalency. In addition, we offer a workforce literacy program, which provides you with opportunities to gain the 9 literacy and essential skills needed for work, learning, and life. Special programs include seniors and family learning and training in technology. We offer classroom settings, one-on-one tutoring, as well as an online option. We believe everyone is a lifelong learner. Together, we can choose a course of study that fits your schedule and helps you meet your learning goals. For more information, visit www.acalalearn.ca.
Hi there and welcome to ACALATV Presents. I'm Kara Jones, motivational speaker, videographer, and certified life coach. In this series, I'm going to show you some of the video work I've done over the years, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about how, by changing my thinking, I ended up changing my life, and that if you follow some of these principles, you can change your life as well. In 2007, I wanted to take part in the Hot Docs International Film Festival. I had no way to get there, and I had a 6-month course with FilmWorks too, so I felt a little bit out of my element, but things happen in strange ways. I got an email one morning that said if I took part in the International Documentary Film Challenge, I could get to Hot Docs. What the challenge was is I had to make a 5-minute documentary in only 5 days. And I got to pick my genre the morning of the very first day. You got to pick from 2. I got sports or experimental. Well, it was March in the middle of rural Nova Scotia, so I'm not very athletic, so I picked experimental. I embraced my NASCAD roots. And I'm glad I did, because that was the most intense 5 days, and I got it done. See, there was nobody around. Everybody in the program was gone, so it really was a challenge. I submitted the documentary, and a week later I found out that I made the top 12. I ended up winning 3 international awards when I got there: Best Use of Genre, Best Writing for a Documentary, and Best Original Song by Betsy McDonald, the local artist here in Antigonish. Here's yesterday's news.
Upon my tire swing, I've been thinking about this very thing. It's been a hard day. Oh, peel the bandage off my foot, grab a handful of rocks and put them on the sidewalk. Oh, if I told you yesterday's news, would you complain? If I told you I was a little ashamed.
When lids are closed and the night is still, except for you underneath my skin, I flounder and tossed, held hostage by my sheets. You kick from the turmoil. My black and white house, uprooted by a transitional squall, crashes down on the good witch of the East Coast in the land of Oz.
So the moment that I knew I was alone was when I told him I was pregnant, and he was happy about it. Then I found out he was leaving for Melbourne the next day, and I was leaving for Canada in a week. I was desperate to talk to him. I think a day later it hit him what it was about, and he didn't know how to deal with it, so he went and got drunk. That was the last time I saw him.
When I moved home to Nova Scotia, I used to have these reoccurring dreams when I was pregnant with Cole. I would travel back to Australia searching for his father, my belly swollen and my pockets empty. Of course, the only places hiring were bars, and they wouldn't give me a job because I couldn't fit into their Britney Spears outfit. So in the end, I was alone. I look back at that time of my life and I realized 2 things. 1, I was never alone. And 2, our lives and our destinies are in our own hands. We all have to take responsibility for what we bring into our lives and the choices that we make. I chose to grow a life inside of me. And it was the faith that I had in myself and the world that allowed me to blindly walk forward and embrace whatever came my way. And that blind faith led me to abundance.
My grandson was born 2 years ago, and ever since 2 years, I came alive again. He made me come alive because I have an illness, a couple actually, and well, you know, anyone that has an illness looks to the wrong end of life, and he made me look towards the right end, I would say.
My father was so disappointed that I had become pregnant out of, alone. He denied that I was pregnant right up to the fact that I had the ultrasound. Until that moment, he's like, maybe she's just not. Like, he would not realize I was pregnant. And we kept saying, oh my God, he's going to be more in love with this baby than anybody, even though he said, no, right up to the day I had the baby, no. He never said out loud, but we knew that's how he thought. And who is more in love? My father is so in love with that child.
Along the way, I find pieces of him scattered and disguised. A scarecrow, a tin man, and a lion. No brain, no heart, no courage, and mute. My desperate fingers attempt to sew the pieces together. Belly swollen and as heavy as my heart, I awake. Your emotion lifts me up, and together we move forward.
I was no longer talking about something that was theoretical. Oh yes, I'm going to be a mother. You can talk about it, but until you actually feel it. That was the first moment I felt I'm a mother. Oh my God, there's a person living in my womb. And I went back to work that day, and I remember all I could hear in my head was that ba-boom, 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 and I was 2 people instead of 1.
Reach into my overcoat, grab a letter that an old friend wrote. It's been a few years. Everybody's disappeared. The snow has fallen and the streets are cleared. It's good for walking. If I told you yesterday's news, would you complain?
Creating that documentary was truly an incredible experience. One of the most incredible things about it, though, was my mind. I got to see that I didn't give up, and I wanted to give up that weekend. But if I had given up, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am today because of it. So it shows you that if you stick with what you know and stick with what you think you can do, just push on forward and you'll get there. Next, I'm going to talk to you about Serendipity. Because I won the International Documentary Film Festival the year before, I got the 3 awards for it, I was able to join the festival for free the following year. I decided I was going to do a documentary about my family. I grew up with epilepsy. I had over 100 seizures a day by the time I was 18, but I was also adopted. And my parents, I ended up meeting them when I was 19 years old. Their story is amazing, and looking at my birth parents and my adoptive parents and their absolute love and sacrifice for their children was something I really wanted to capture in a documentary. My birth mom, Maureen, gave me up when she was 19 years old, and it was a really challenging time. It was 1977. So she came back to St. Yves's heartbroken. What she didn't know was that I was living 6 doors down. She never found that out until I was 19 years old. Here's the documentary, Serendipity, a story of love and sacrifice for the highest good of all concerned.
I just wanna thank you, Lord.
Sacrifice. It's the reason I'm alive today to tell you this story. I'd not be here if it weren't for the selflessness of 4 incredible people who let go and let God, all for the love of a baby girl.
I realized that I had this beautiful daughter who might or might not be around at this point to meet her biological mother.
I know for me at the time, even though we did talk about you and getting married, it would have been very difficult, I think. And so the adoption thing was, like I say, the best thing for you and for me. And I think probably for Colleen and Francis too, because they got to raise you and they did a very good job.
You wanted information. You felt that there was something, and especially with where you had epilepsy. The thought of wanting to know where that came from, how you contacted that, if it was genetics, you know, well, we all wanted to know.
Before we reconnected, that piece was missing, that it's a piece that's out there. Like you fathered a child that's out there, but you don't know what they're doing, right? You don't know anything about them, but you know they're out there, and you know they exist. They're somewhere.
When I was 6 years old, I died from a tonic-clonic seizure. After the doctors revived me, my mother walked the halls of the pediatric ward, thinking of my birth mother and bargaining with God.
One of the most traumatic experiences in my life was to walk in to the ward at the Children's Hospital and see all these children who were vegetables. So I vowed to God that I would do whatever was possible, not only to keep you alive, but to keep you alive and have a quality of life that I wanted for you, because I vowed that if I didn't do anything else right in life, that was the one thing I was going to give 100% to.
We didn't change as people because we had 2 children with high needs. We just, the same as everybody else would do, I think. We wanted children. We got 2 children, and we were going to bring them up the same as everybody else would. It didn't make any difference.
Oh, your mother was very scared, nervous about meeting me. I was nervous about meeting her too. But, you know, and then when I found out all the troubles that you had,
After being put up for adoption in 1977, my life began to unfold events which would later become serendipitous in nature. Maureen returned to university shortly after my birth, with a broken heart and a constant wondering if her little girl was okay. Down the road, a young couple receives a call from social services that a baby girl is available to join their family. 6 doors down.
I suppose not knowing, you know, I gave you up through the church, kind of, you know, like through that Catholic services, I guess it was at the time. So I kind of knew that you were going to be, you know, put in a good home, but there's still that, you know, not knowing.
In 1996, my parents were faced with the decision of allowing me to undergo neurosurgery in hopes of providing me with a better quality of life. Little did they know then that the end results would heal our lives in more ways than one. Maureen and David fell harder in love over the loss of me and married. 19 years later, I reunited with them, as well as my 3 full siblings.
I always felt a connection to the biological mother in wondering what choice she would make for her child if she were here today and in my shoes, because this was a decision that could actually give you a much better life or give you a life of lesser quality. Because it wasn't just a decision about you or me, it was a decision about this person who gave life to you and loved you enough to give you up. Because I think that even though I was young, and that was in the 70s, I think that it was a very unselfish decision she made to give up a baby that she carried and nourished for 9 months.
We would never stop anyone from wanting to find out, you know, their background in life. And we're all happy for that now because we're all one big happy family.
You just fit right in. It was funny. Everybody was very comfortable, and it was. I don't think that's the norm for adoption.
I remember picking you up that day because there was a big snowstorm. We had to borrow a 4x4 to go to pick you up. And then when you were home with us that night, and we all had our talk around the table, and then when we went to bed, I remember just thinking that this is how it's supposed to be.
This is my refuge, this is my home. As I sit by the water, I think about the day. It sparkles and glistens, my troubles away. Wash them all away. This is where I'm at best, is where I belong.
I came to ACALA 4 years ago, start ESL lesson to learn English.
The idea is to teach people communication skills. A lot of people arrive in Canada having studied English from a textbook and they have decent grammar skills, but they've never had an opportunity to communicate in English, to have a conversation, you know, to go into a bank and set up an account, to go to the doctors and explain your situation.
My English wasn't good at all, so she helped me communicate with everybody and write a program, paper, and do everything I should do. But
So my learners are great at bringing, you know, things that are troubling them, workplace situations. They may need to write a letter or file a complaint. Other people are studying for the Canadian citizenship test, and we go over the test. So whatever is happening in their daily life, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking to help them with.
ACALA helped me research a school and find a director. I was learning acupressure, massage. Then from there, I learned both Chinese medicine and Oriental Japanese medicine. Well,
I'd really encourage people to stop by ACALA, book a schedule. We'll do an assessment and see what kind of schedule and curriculum works best for you.
Make my life much easier. Yeah.
And so that's the goal of the program, is to improve communication skills, real life communication skills.
For more information, phone 902-863-3060 or go to www.acalalearn.ca.
Hi, I'm Jason. This will be my digital story. We took part in a digital story workshop, which I found really neat. Got to pick up some skills on the computer and whatnot, but it was a really good opportunity for me to look at a part of my life that maybe I never looked at this way before. So I hope you enjoy it. It's very short, so if you don't have to sit through a lot. Anyway, here it is. There I was, teaching up north in my hometown of Inuvik. I wasn't going to get rich or own a boat teaching, but at least I was able to pay the bills and even afford the odd trip during those summer months. Life was simple, good, and most important, predictable. But I couldn't predict Dad dying suddenly. I couldn't predict Mom getting cancer. I couldn't imagine leaving my current world behind. I got on the plane and said goodbye to a place in my life I had worked so hard to get to. A final goodbye to my home. I didn't know what would be waiting for me when I arrived in Nova Scotia. It felt that all the control and direction I had in my life was left behind on the tarmac. The next few years seemed like I was being dragged through them rather than living them. I watched my mom deteriorate each year until eventually she passed away. Strangely enough,
I felt a sense of relief this stage was done, but I still had the same concerns from before, and now new ones. What if I can't find a job? What if I can't afford to keep my new house? What if I can't manage this situation? During this time, my wife's family also came into my life. Her family tree consisted of numbers more similar to an army compared to my family, which was more like a dysfunctional quartet, -2 of course. Her family is over the top, loud, and have a tendency to overwhelm a quiet soul like myself. But despite this, they're also fun, friendly, and down to earth. They seem to be able to roll with the punches and take whatever comes their way. Colleen's dad used to say, "Every day's a good day if you're on the green side of the sod." The questions are still coming, but how I think about it has changed. Instead of worrying, I'm starting to look at the possibilities. Maybe I'll go back to school. Maybe I'll relocate. Maybe I'll find a new career. Life is still a bit out of control, and now I have another change coming. I'm going to be a dad. Maybe things will be all right.
Hi, I'm Joanna Visa. You will be watching a video called Dear William. It was a digital story I had done through a workshop. It's my way of telling my brother, who passed away a number of years ago, how much I love him and miss him. September 10th, 2012. Dear William, I want to thank you for all the times that you were there for me when I had a problem. You were there with advice. You always included me in our Christmas plays. I loved playing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, even though I had to wear that fuzzy green hat because we didn't have a red nose. Those were some fine, great days we had. You were there when I was held back and had to do homework over my summer break. You gave up your summer to help me. That was amazing. You always listened to my dreams that I had. When you suddenly died that August 22nd, 1981, my whole world exploded into a dark world of toxic poison. You weren't there to anymore protect me and to advise me. Florence went to university. I was fighting with Dad, being bullied in school, other people coming around at me. The depression coming on. I couldn't keep fighting to protect myself and hold on to my dreams. So I had to let my dreams go. Many years have passed since then. Looking through old family pictures and seeing what I had back then, I think about what I have now, and I know it could be better. I know if you were here, you'd say to me, "What the hell are you doing with your life?" Recently, I've decided that it's time to come back to me and to do the things I've always wanted to do. So now I'm going back to my singing and learning new skills in digital media, using cameras and telling stories like the one I'm doing now. It's been 31 years since we've talked, and I just wanted to say I love you. You're always part of my life and of me. Joanna.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'd like to introduce you to my digital story. It's about the importance of music in my life.
How do you write a song? You dig up a melody from your head that seems to work, and you try and phrase your ideas within that musical context. You'd say a line, and it would seem all right. String a few lines together, and feel pretty good about it. But you go back the next day, and there was really nothing special about that song. It wasn't what I needed to say. Such a cemetery, walking backwards as I vary between very scary things. It would seem that I had all I wanted or needed in my suburban upbringing, and it didn't really make sense that I felt that so much was missing. Everything that I did, day to day, just felt like sleepwalking. Until one deadly hot summer afternoon, I fled to the basement to watch music videos. I heard a song that made every other song I'd ever listened to seem like nothing. It was a song about the underside of life in New York City. It was gritty and detailed and in your face. And it hit a real emotional string, unlike anything else I'd felt before. And so feeling that made me think that there was a lot more to life. I joined a band, went to architecture school. I got part way, and then I got out. I moved to the city with my girlfriend, searched and searched for work. I found a nice job working with people with disabilities. Had kids, went back to school, moved east and out into the country, and continued with the music. At some point, I wrote one song. I couldn't believe it. It happened so quickly, and I knew that tomorrow I was going to like it even better. Suddenly there were 12 songs. The life that I was making for myself provided me with the footing to write about what seemed so troubling to me in my past. I never sang in front of an audience until I moved east. One day, I got involved in a fundraiser for the summer festival in town. It was a Bob Dylan tribute show, and I connected with an incredible number of musicians. Now, I'm in 4 bands, and I play way more music than I ever did before in my life. Now I sing a bunch of songs that everybody knows, and then I try a few of my own. A lot of people say they like my songs, but some people, you know, it's really struck a chord. You're never alone in the world. You're only alone in your head. Don't ever fall down and be the ground where other people tread.
Thank you so much for joining me here at ACALATV Presents. Have a great night.
Morning. How you doing?
The sun is shining, it's gonna be a happy day. The light of love is inviting us to come play. Well, there's nothing we can do that'll waste our time. So come jug of wine.
There are so many reasons why I wanted to come to Canada, but I think the main one is that Canada is a country which is full of opportunities, and the sky is the limit.
Familiar Strangers is an exhibit in the form of what is known as installation art. This one-of-a-kind display was created by local photographer Kara Jones.
Okay, when I moved back to Antigonish, I hadn't lived in a small town in a really long time. And coming from a place like Antigonish, you're constantly hearing about people and seeing them every day and hearing, what's your father's name, what's he do? And then I started noticing that every day I was seeing the same people. Going to the coffee shop and walking down the streets in the grocery store, and they were becoming really familiar faces to me, but complete strangers still, even though we had conversations and we talked and whatnot.
After my exhibition, I became intrigued by the lives and the stories behind the faces of the familiar strangers. There was one woman in particular. She jumped out of the frame and into my heart, inspiring me with her unbelievable passion and her amazing ability to empower and change the lives of all those who came across her path.
There are so many struggles you face as an immigrant when you come to a new country and when you prepare to come. However, when we arrived here, that's when things were very difficult. Because when I came, I was a qualified high school teacher, and I was excited that I was going to teach in Canada, only to arrive here and your credentials are not accepted here. So I had to start from scratch one. I had to go to school, but I didn't have any school fees to pay my tuition fee. So guess what? In Zimbabwe, I had my own house. I had my own maid to make my house, my bed and everything. But I tried to look for a job. Could I find a job? No, I couldn't. I ended up working at Lord Beaverbrook Hotel in Fredericton as a maid, making beds and making houses in order for me to raise my tuition fee. So I worked there, raised my tuition fee, went to UNB, University of New Brunswick, did my diploma, my master's, and went back to Zimbabwe and came back in 2001 and started to do my PhD and finished my PhD, graduated in 2005, and here I am a professor at St. FX University, one of the best universities in the world. Whoever knew that a poor little girl growing in rural Africa would reach this far, but it's because of Canada. And in my life, I live on 4 words in my principle: faith, hope, perseverance, and resilience. As a teacher, my main hope was that I would be able to inspire other girls just to be like me, and not only to be like me, but even to surpass me. And my main hope was to inspire my sisters, my cousin sisters, and all other women within the community I come from. And that's exactly what I've done. I have tried to send money, to send them to school, to send them to colleges, and I'm not that I'm praising myself, but I have sisters who are nurses, who are doing their PhDs, who are working, who are professionals, who are all over the country, all over the world. You know, growing up in a society where women's place is at the home. Remember, I went to school in the 1970s, and from a cultural perspective, that women are not, they are valued, but in terms of going to school, they are not the same as men. And to be honest with you, I had to be a rebel in my own in order for me to advance, because my father didn't want to pay tuition for me because I was a girl. So again, I had to work for my tuition. And I think I got it from my mom, because when I looked at my grandmother didn't go to school. My mom went to school only up to grade 3. So I didn't want to live the life my grandmother lived and my mother lived. So I knew from the day one that I knew what I want to be. I wanted to be a teacher or a nurse, and no one was going to stop me. I had to go against the culture. And for your own information, I was the first girl in my clan to complete high school. I was the first girl to pass high school. I was the first girl to get a master's degree. I am the first woman to get a PhD and the first woman to be a professor in the whole village where I come from. I think one advice I would like to give to new immigrants is that when they arrive in a community, for example, a community like Antigonish is so small, and you move around, you see the same people, but you don't really know them. But every time you say, wow, that person is a familiar. So they become familiar strangers. And guess what? The advice I would give people if you move to a small community is extend your hand and reach to the familiar stranger so that the familiar stranger becomes a friend in need and a friend to help and a friend to help you.
Comes around again, oh, I'm going back to where I left my friends, yeah. Oh, I'm going back to where I left my friends, yeah.
I came to ACALA 4 years ago, start ESL lesson.
I'm here at ACALA and I'm really wanting to learn.
It's probably one of the most rewarding teaching experiences that I've probably come across in the 10 years I've been doing this.
It opens all kinds of doors and avenues for that I never realized were there.
If I didn't join ACALA's program, I don't think I could find out the school I'm studying now.
It's a hard struggle to go through when you can't read.
With kids growing up, going to school, grade 2 and 3, and you can't read them a bedtime story that they were doing a better job than me.
I'm here for a reason for myself, and I'm glad I'm here.
These are real people coming in with real problems. We have single mothers, we have people who have bills to pay.
I still had a wife, kids, and a family to look after, and a business to run, so it's not all cut and dry.
The books are here, the teachers are here, and the students are here. They're all in the same situations I am. I'm not alone.
Thanks to many people in the town, it's all credit to all the people that I ran into that made it what I am today, because alone I wouldn't be very good.
I achieved my goal since I joined the program.
Come and see us. We love what we do. We want to help people at the end of the day.
I came here to ACALA to learn how to read and write and spell.
I've been doing quite a bit of traveling in the last little while because of it, and I believe it's all got a lot to do with my start with ACALA.